mess on a soul. Yes. Oh, Jesus, there's an alien sitting next to me. Hello, Zontarsky. How the hell are you? Look at the people. I think you can hear me. Yeah, that's on. Wax on, wax off. Yeah, that's on. See what we got here. Hey TRG, how's it going? Can you hear me okay? I'm trying to get my my channel up here on the computer. Oh, good. I'm sorry to hear about your job. That really sucks. I was going to comment on it, and then I forgot. I was going to make a video about what happened to you. Trying to figure out, how do I see if I'm live on here? Let's see here. I'll be right with you, everybody. Trying to see how am I live? PTPOP is live. There I am.
This is the Wonder Oven Pro.
Yes, this is the wonder of whatever. All right, I think I've got everything going here. So I thought I'd just go live tonight, chat with everybody, see what everyone's up to. TRG, I'm really sorry to hear about your job. I think that was you. Wasn't that you that told me you lost your job in training? Oh, did you go to HR? Somebody told me I got in some recent, like in the last 10 years, I was working at a credit card company and they refused to pay me my bonus because I didn't do the phonetic alphabet correctly. And I never thought of going to HR. I just resigned right there on the spot, walked out. I was so mad. Currently appealing the employer, but I can't trust the appeal process. You know, they are biased and defensive. It's me against the bank. Yeah, I looked at that bank. It seems like they're strictly like an online bank. Do they actually have like locations, or is it just like an all online bank or something like that? I was trying to see if they had any videos where I could talk about their call centers. I did a little bit of a history search for them, and I didn't find a whole lot. Dispute the training process. They had me for 6 weeks, and they said because you failed training role play, we had to let you go. That's insane, man. Training role play. That doesn't even make any sense. I'm not questioning you, but like, how can they even make that a legitimate reason to get rid of somebody? It doesn't even make any sense. So what did people say when you took it to their attention? Did anybody say anything, or? Sorry, I'm closing out a couple things over here. I hated role play. I mean, it's horrible. Nobody likes role play. No one likes role play. And most people half-ass it anyway. I just would cringe every time the trainer would try to get me to do role play. They were also nitpicking on minor things, lateness, and mic is being on occasionally during training. A microphone being on occasionally during training, is that what you mean? They're framing it as concerns. No, they said other candidates passed, but you somehow failed. How did they grade you on role playing? Like how well you smiled and pretend to answer the phone, that kind of thing? Were you doing playing the customer CSR rep? And I got enough sticky notes in here to choke a horse. I got all kinds of paper in here. It slides underneath my platform here. Well, you know, I've been reading more of this book, Disconnected by Debbie Goldman, and I'm through chapter 2, and I tell you, this all started happening in the late 80s, early 90s, where they decided to split up the phone company and everything went digital, and they started to figure out a way to micromanage people through metrics. And somehow, some way, corporations around the world adopted this for call centers. It just took off like wildfire, and every industry who has a call center treats their employees the same worldwide. And I don't know how it spread like wildfire. I just don't even know how it happened. And this book, you know, is a great book. It really explains a lot. And I'm infuriated as I read it. I get so angry reading it because, as in a video I'm releasing tomorrow morning, there was a time where corporations cared about their employees and cared about their customers, at least to some degree, more than they do now. Now it's just all about the money. It's all about how can we cut costs, how can we lower headcount, how can we have more money in our bank accounts for us, the people that are at the top of the pyramid. Let's see, TRG says, I forgot to ask for consent to note down the account on the system. Just for that mainly, they say it's part of quality assurance. The trainer was goofy slob who gave stories of his family trauma. Oh God. You had to hear about somebody's family trauma in training? Why would you have to ask consent to note something on an account that they've already been identified on? Isn't it assumed that you're going to note on their account because they called in to talk about their account? That's weird. It was a total mess, and yet they get me out in less than 2 months, likely for being the most outspoken. Yeah, that probably did you in. It's done me in. It's done me in places where, as I got older and I got sick of it, I would voice my concerns, especially at Verizon. Verizon was a torture chamber for me, and I needed a job, and I stayed there for almost 2 years. Somehow I made it through almost 2 years, but I was almost always on a PIP. They were constantly trying to get rid of me. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how companies get away with this, and this is why I want to make this documentary, because I think it's vital that the world knows the sweatshops of these call centers are while they're still around, because these companies are desperately trying to get rid of employees and replace them with AI. It doesn't matter whether it's call center work or graphic design or writers. Everybody's job is being threatened by AI. And apparently we're powerless to it, because these major software companies that are designing the AI have probably bought and paid for everybody who has the power. See, TRG says, oh, and also they said you were too inquisitive. You asked too many questions in which some were personal leaning. I asked general questions on credit cards. Well, yeah, I mean, don't you have to ask personal questions so you can upsell them? What's it for? Are you going on vacation? Are you buying a car? I would think you have a product line of credit cards that you have to find out what their interests are to determine what credit card you offer them. I would think. I'm just pulling that out of my backside, but you'd want to also ask if ChatGPT is allowed for minor tasks such as proofreading. Can we send emails to our personal emails for no purpose? They said that's. What's that a red flag for? I guess it could be a red flag if they think you're going to steal company information, but they can watch that. If you put somebody's credit card numbers in your email and send it to yourself, you get fired on the spot. They should have IT and bots watching that. I've done that. I've emailed myself stuff home, notes. This is a long time ago. This is almost 20 years ago. They probably don't allow stuff like that. But it's a red flag because so they think you're a criminal. They think you're going to steal customers' information. But why would you, as a criminal, even let on you're going to do that? Why didn't they sit down and ask you first? Hey, are you thinking of doing something? They took things the wrong way and framed it as concerns. I'm so damn infuriated. They turned me into a psycho. They want the employee to be closed off. Yeah, I think unfortunately, you can't show any real you can't really even insinuate you have concerns about how things are operated. You can't even show the slightest interest in maybe being deceitful, or they'll just get rid of you. They'll find ways to get rid of you because I don't know you, but I don't think you would be doing this intentionally. But they must have seen things and gone, oh, this guy he might be up something. You just, like I said, you just got to go in and just keep your mouth closed, learn it the best you can, and go home at the end of the day. It's the only way to survive these places. It really is. Excuse me a second here. Sorry if there's a noise. I got to move this over. Hey there, Crazy Home Buddy Girl. How's it going today? Are you on TikTok, Crazy Home Buddy Girl? I guess it was maybe a lesson to me to never trust him, to be too comfortable with him. Yeah, dear, I'm so sorry. You know, it sounds like they were looking for ways to trip people up to get rid of them. I don't know why they do that. They must have saw what they thought were red flags. You might be deceitful, but I from what you're telling me, I don't see it. One of the last call centers I worked in didn't allow you to take your phone to your desk. You had to lock everything up in a locker. You couldn't do anything. And so I had no way to take notes in training. Had no way to take things home with me. Everything had to stay in the training room. So there was nothing to study at night. And I don't know. I winged it. So again, if you're interested in this book will tell you the beginnings of the metric system in all the call centers back in the late 1980s, mid 1990s. And Debbie has gone over, she was a member of the Call Center Workers of America. And I can tell you that everything we're going through today, the metrics and being, held accountable for things that we can't even humanly handle, started back when the digital age came about. And the corporations decided to monitor us severely, monitor our bathroom breaks, our hold time, our average handle time, all of that stuff started way back, and the people were treated like garbage back then when this all started, and they're treated like garbage now, and they're desperately trying to get rid of all of us and replace us with AI. And I really would like to see this end. There's got to be a way to save our jobs and to make them better. But somehow all the corporations in all the world have adopted the same attitude that we don't matter, we're slaves, treat them like crap, and that's all there is to it. See, Crazy Home Buddy Girl says, a caller had the nerve to call me at 7:59 right before the close at 8 p.m. Oh man, okay, you're not on TikTok. Yeah, I hate that. I hate that. That happened to me all the time. That got me paranoid too. I'm like, okay, what's the likelihood that just as your shift is about to end and another call drops in your headset, just as you're about to go home? And I would get so angry because it was always some idiot that has some long, arduous task they wanted me to take care of, and we were on the phone till at least 20 after the hour, and I wouldn't get out there on time, and I always get home a half an hour late. And does it throw your adherence out? It always threw my adherence out. Let's see, TRG says they also said one day you logged off 1 hour early. A trainer told us to do e-learning, which is the computer theory assessment. In our time, we were supposed to stay until 5 p.m., but I went off at 4. Why didn't somebody talk to you about it back then? That's ridiculous. I mean, if you were still there and still working, and you were still logged into the e-training, it shouldn't have made a difference. Yeah. Well, if you logged off at 4, was your training work at home or was your training at their location? Um, I told her we're closing. Her issue would have taken more time. This is crazy homebody girl. So I just gave her basic troubleshooting steps to try. It's kind of one way of doing it. I guess if they pull that call, that might get you for rushing somebody off the phone so you can go home. They'll pick up on that stuff. Yeah, it's frustrating. It happened to me all the time. And I swear I thought there was a supervisor in a room going, hey, Pete's about to leave his shift. Send him a call. But I think the routers are designed, from what I'm told, the routers are designed to send the call that's been waiting the longest to the phone or the rep that's been off the phone, who's off the phone the longest. And you'll get the call because you've been off the phone the longest. So if there's 3 people sitting next to you and they're still on a call, and then like say there's 4 reps, and rep number 1 hangs up, number 2 hangs up, 3 hangs up, 4 hangs up, 1 will get the call before 2, 3, or 4. That's how it was explained to me. It was all via Teams, TRG. You have a manager that tells you to wrap up the calls. Yeah, they probably want to go home too, I would think. Yeah, just if you're allowed to do that, just say, you know, we're closing. And I've noticed in some call centers, when you call near the end of the day, people don't even answer the phones now. If there's live people, if you call, I can't think of a call center that there's one of them I call, and if you call, like, it's probably like B&H Photo or one of those places where I do some shopping. They're not open all the time. And if you call half an hour before the end of the business day, they just don't answer the phones, or they have so few reps logged on that nobody takes the call, and I just give up. TRG says they're not gracious, lenient at all. They are micromanaging during training. Yeah, you should consider yourself lucky. It sounds like it's a crappy place to work. I mean, I looked them up, and I don't know. They look, they have the typical propaganda about what a great place it is to work. At their headquarters, they have, I think, a spa and a game room and all that stuff that nobody has time to go visit. It's the same corporate claptrap that all corporations allegedly have. What was the name of the bank again? It was CV or something. Virgin Money. Is that Virgin, and I noticed that their logo is the same as Virgin Records. I don't know if Virgin Records is still around. I'm gonna look them up now. Virgin Money UK. And the thing you'll find in what I'm discovering is that many of these places have really just thrown together a managerial staff at the last minute, people that don't know what they're doing and don't have critical thinking skills. And then they just don't know how to talk to people or discipline them or counsel them. Virgin Money UK is a British banking and financial services company owned by Nationwide Building Society since 2024. The Virgin Money brand was founded by Richard Branson. It's originally known as Virgin Direct, pioneered index tracking by launching a value personal quality plan into the market. What does that mean? What's a pioneered index tracking by launching a value personal equity plan? That just sounds like corporate corporate word salad that means nothing. Virgin Money expanded its operations around the world. Virgin Money announced plans to become a retail bank and attempted to purchase Northern Rock in 2007. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they got the nice red and white page. Their logo is just like Virgin Records. I don't know how they could steal that from Virgin Records. I don't know if Virgin Records is still in business. Virgin. Yeah, it's still around. It's British. I wonder if Universal Music Group owns Money Bank. Really weird. Because if you look up Virgin Records, that they ripped off the logo of, they lifted the logo from Virgin Records. I think. Let me. Maybe I'm. Why did I think that here? Hold on a second here. What is this? What a weird name for a bank. Virgin Money. How strange. Virgin Money. Yeah, it's very similar to the Virgin Records. Virgin Records looks like it's handwritten, but it's the exact same angle, it's the exact same V, it's the exact same everything. The G, all of it is. So I wonder if they're affiliated with Virgin Records or Universal Music Group. Very strange. Not certain how they got away with that, but they must have some affiliation, I would think. If they don't, Virgin Records should sue their ass. Let's see here. Just read your comments. Sorry, you're going through. Oh, sounds like Carla. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's really upsetting when you run into an employer like that. I run into it so many times where they just dick you over and there's no recourse. The only time I ever felt I had any retribution was when I worked at Verizon Wireless and my boss, the zippity bebop guy, had me in a PIP and I could never get off of it. And so I went to HR. I was pissed and I was tired of it because he was never there. He never was at work. He was always on vacation golfing because he thought he was the next Tiger Woods. And HR, I said, I'm tired of being on a PIP, and how can I, what can I do about this? And the lady pulled up my file and she said, I don't have any record of you being on a PIP. She said, he's got to document that with HR. And I was like, you're kidding. She's like, I'll look into it. And within 2 weeks, I was traded off his team and put on somebody else's team. And I don't know. I think they closed that call center a couple of years ago, so I don't know if he even still works for the company. And that was the only time I felt HR did anything for me. But I don't know what your HR is like in the UK. I think you gotta try to pressure them, say, But really, honestly, as I've said, you've got to go in, you've got to step and fetch it when you're at these places. You've got to just do what they tell you. You've just got to be like a soldier. And when the drill sergeant says jump, you say how high. And you can't have a mind, you can't think, you can't question. You're never going to win. You're never going to win. You're never going to change their mind or get them to change their way or get them to change training. None of it's going to change. The only thing that will change is if there's some worldwide movement before they take our jobs away where the unions somehow get power again and come in and take over all these places and give us a decent working environment. But I have a feeling that the unions have been dismantled, soundly dismantled worldwide. and they're dying here. There's not many union shops left here. And many of the union shops in the auto industry way back in the day, from what I've heard, were run by the Italian mafia. So I don't know. I don't know if that's still the same. You know, I wouldn't. You know, if you're going to try to take it to court, that sounds all Hollywood and everything. But in order to fight a corporation this big, you need documented proof. And if they've got proof against you and you have no proof against them, you're going to be spinning your wheels, and you need a boatload of cash. Unless you can find a corporate attorney that will go pro bono, you're going to have to find somebody to represent you that believes in your case. And maybe he knows of other cases with his company. But these companies have massive attorneys that work for them, and they'll drag it out. They'll drain your bank account. It'll be in the courts forever. They'll never settle with you. You don't. I'm not an attorney, but I wouldn't waste your time. I would start looking for a new job. And I don't know. I feel for you. I really do. But these companies are crooked as the day is long. And I would just let it go. I would try to just take a deep breath. And it's over. And they've released you, from what I understand. You can try to fight it through HR. But, you know, there are Crazy Homebody Girl. There are call center unions. It's called Call Center Workers of America, CWA. I know they still work with Verizon and with AT&T. I tried to unionize the Verizon shop. I called CWA many years ago and told them what was going on there. I wrote them emails, and the guy basically said they'll never unionize. They're not going to work with us. He didn't want to hear from me. He didn't want to talk to me. But there are unions. There are call center unions. The Call Center Workers of America is a big one. But try to get a shop to unionize is a very, very difficult task. And they will, the company that you're trying to unionize will find every means possible to get rid of you. They will make your life a living hell, because none of these companies want the union stepping in to control the employees, to control negotiation between management and the employees. They don't want it. And they'll fight you tooth and nail. If you've got the time and the resources to do something like that, that's fine, but most people don't. Let's see here. Yeah, TRG, I'm so sorry, but I think you really got to try to take a deep breath and let this one go. For some reason, they didn't want you there. I don't know if it was, and I don't. Doesn't sound like it was personal. I think they didn't understand what you were doing, and they just. Oh, they're merging with another bank to stick around, so maybe they're having financial problems. I don't know. Yeah, I kind of agree, Crazy Homebody Girl, about TRG. I don't know why they didn't just ask you and warn you, say, like, what's going on? Why didn't they sit down with you? But maybe they figured, since you were so new and you were showing independent thinking early, and you might be up to something, they said, maybe we better get rid of this guy before he gets into the real calls. I have no idea. Where are you looking for a job, Crazy Homebody Girl? I've been looking for a long time. I've got an application for a local drugstore here, but something tells me to stay away from it. I don't know, but I'm looking. But I'm working on a documentary. I met with Reggie on TikTok. What is Reggie's name? Let's see. TikTok. I can't. Reggie Dawson, and he's on TikTok. I think he's Reggie. I should know this, Reggie. If you're watching me, forgive me. I don't remember what your handle is on TikTok. Let me look you up here. Reggie. Let me log in here. Oh, I can't do this now. Reggie Dawson, come on down. I don't know if Reggie, if you're watching, you know about Richard Dawson from Family Feud. I think it was. He was a game show host. Darn it. Well, I interviewed Reggie. I didn't interview him. We had a Zoom call. And he's a great guy. Works in a call center. He's been in the call center business for about 15 years. He wants to be in the documentary. We're going to work some things out where we can talk about this. He may be in Ohio in the spring where I can just set up my cameras and microphones and talk to him live. He's an awesome guy. He's very positive. He's the antithesis to anything you'd ever see in a call center. He is the exact opposite of everything we've experienced. He's positive, thoughtful, level-headed. He thinks about things. He listened to me. He actually listened to me, and he thought through some of the things I had experienced, and I think he's going to be a great addition to the film. And darn it, Reggie, I don't know why I can't find you on TikTok. Users, Reggie, it doesn't matter. But I wanted to kind of give you a shout out. But I can't get logged in because, let's see here, continue to Google. Maybe that's what I do. Continue. See if that get me logged in under, yeah, got me logged in under a different, the Call Center Geek. That's another good one. If you want some guidance on TikTok from Tom Laird, he is a call center expert. And I have written to him. I haven't heard back from him, but he would be perfect for my film. If I think of it, I'll try to write him again. Reggie Dawson, is that it right there? There it is, that Reggie guy. If you want to follow a really great call center employee, he doesn't really talk about call centers a lot, but that _Reggie _guy, and I don't have any way to share my screen with you because I'm just talking to you from my phone. But this is an amazing guy, just an amazing person, and I was really happy to talk to him, and I think you'd like his attitude is great. And I really don't think he talks about call centers all that much. I just picked up on this one where he's got this video called "Biggest Lesson from Being a Call Center Supervisor," which perked up my ears because he had a real positive thing that he said about working in a call center there. So check out his channel. I'm pretty sure he's going to be in the film. He's coming up in the springtime. He's got a friend that lives not far from me here in Ohio, and we're going to get together, hopefully, and then we'll go from there. But he was great. I've been talking to him. My audio's quiet. Is anybody else having a problem with my audio? Shows it's linked up. I got a green light. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, TRG, there was a guy I worked with. There was a place I worked, which was like, I don't know what you call it. It was a company that handled inbound calls from multiple different companies. They took calls for Apple, and they took calls for Verizon, and they took calls. It was like a bunch of real scruffy looking call center reps all in one room, but each, like, there was a row that took calls about iPhone. There was a row that took calls about Apple, MacBooks and things. And there was one guy in my training class who would not talk to me, and he wouldn't talk to anybody. He was a big guy, 6'5", kind of big round guy with like a mullet, and he was never spoke to anybody But when asked a question in class by the trainer, he didn't speak to me. He wouldn't speak to anyone. And I finally figured out this guy just needs this job and he doesn't want to talk to any of us. And that's when I realized he was on to something. You've really just got to go be pleasant. What you don't like, you're going to have to swallow it and go home and deal with it. You really can't. You're not going to win any battles against the management in the call center. You're just never going to. Don't worry about making friends. If you're single and you think you're going to find your mate there, forget about it. Just go there to collect a paycheck, do the best you can do, and try your best every day. Don't look to cut corners or shortcuts or talk to people or play foosball with somebody in the break room. It's just not worth it. It's low. You have volume. My volume is low? Huh. I don't know what to do. Let me take a look here. Let me take a look. Oh. TRG says audio's good. So TRG, you said audio's good, then you said SRY, yeah. Volume is low. Is it better now that I'm holding it up here like that? Here, I'll put it on my hat. Maybe that's better. Little fancy little. The battery might be dying in this too. I don't know. Yeah, you can't trust the trainers either. The trainers, I think, are assessing the different people that they're interacting with to see how they interact with them and with their coworkers. I know this sounds paranoid, but I think you're under surveillance from the moment you start training to the moment you pass the test and go on the floor. They're constantly watching how you interact, your attitude, if you smile. Um, oh, it's louder now. Yeah, it was way down here. I don't know what. I'll talk like this, and it's okay. Good. All right. And I think they're constantly analyzing your body language. I'm not a very expressive guy. I don't smile a lot. And I remember there's a grocery store chain here in Cleveland. It's headquartered out of Pittsburgh, but they really have moved into Cleveland. It's called Giant Eagle. And I went to a job fair for Giant Eagle at the Cleveland IX Center many years ago. And I walked in, and it's mostly people half my age, and they wanted us to role play. And we were in this cramped room, like 30 people. They're taking 30 people at a time into a cramped room and having us play like I don't remember what the board game was or the TV. It was like a game show, like Family Feud type of thing, and they wanted us to scream and chant and do all this really weird stuff. And I'm like, I'm sitting in the back room like this. I'm like, I'm not doing this. And I put up a half-assed attempt, and they didn't hire me. Well, no, that's not true. They called me. I went for I think they did call me for a job, but it wasn't what I applied for. I wanted to work in the warehouse. I wanted to stock shelves at night. That's all I want to do is go in at night and stock the shelves or go in during the day. And what did they? No, 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 no. They wanted me to go work at one of their. I think it was a gas station. They own a gas station chain. I think John Eagle owns. I think they own Quick Trip or something like that. They own a gas station franchise. I'm like, no, I don't want to work at a gas station. These places get held up all the time around here, especially if you're near downtown Cleveland. They're constantly getting robbed. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to go work at a gas station. I mean, I would do it if I absolutely had to. Yeah, they're always watching everything you're doing. They're always watching what you're doing. They're listening. And the thing that bugs me about that, these are not like mental giants. These are not people that are trained in psychology. They know basic body language things, but if you're reading me, and I don't smile a lot, you think I'm unhappy. Most people in my life have always thought I was unhappy, but I'm fine. Just like I just don't feel like smiling. I don't smile unless there's a reason to. Um, and some of the people that make it are just one of those, some of those people that are always just like always up, 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 and they're happy and all that stuff. So I don't know. So I'm working on my call center video, my documentary. That's slowly but surely coming along. We'll see where it goes. Uh, I met with a friend of mine from college. Art is a friend of mine, and he actually worked in a call center years ago. And I think he said he counseled people. He was a counselor. So I don't know. I haven't talked to him about it. I just jokingly said, "You want to be in a documentary? He would be great. He's a very nice guy, real friendly, very dynamic individual, and I think he'd be perfect." But I try to do too much. I've been trying to do all of this at once. I get very manic when I make these movies because I'm it. I'm the writer, the director, the producer, the cameraman, the editor. I do all the marketing, and check the above message to see. What? So TRG says this. The thing is, the trainer was someone who shared stories of surviving his family traumas and unaliving himself. He came across as chill, but from underneath and behind the scene, toxic and hostile. That's really bizarre, man. But I've seen it too. I haven't seen people talking about the unaliving themselves, but I worked for American Greetings, headquartered here in Cleveland, and they had a call center. Believe it or not, for people to call in about uh, their greeting cards, because at the time, this is like 10 years ago, they had these greeting cards that when you open them, they played music, and you could record messages and send it to your mom, your dad, in a greeting card. And this woman was Puerto Rican. Nothing against Puerto Ricans, but she was Puerto Rican. And one day, for like an hour, she talked about her heritage and how she loved rice and beans. Rice and beans. I love my rice and beans. She talked about rice and beans and the Puerto Rican culture. And I'm like, lady, I don't care where you're from. Just get on with it. I want to get the hell out of this training class and get on the phones. And you get these trainers that are just off their nut. They're completely have no corporate awareness. That they have no critical thinking skills. Let's see here. Yeah, crazy home buddy. I don't smile. I love to laugh. I love to laugh. I love comedians. I was just talking to my friend Art today about all the comedians we've seen in our lifetime. I'd laugh my ass off, but I don't do it unless there's a reason to. Let's see. MM Neffy says, I had a lady call today asking about an order that she had with another company, and she asked me if I could transfer the call to the other company. Yeah, did you make a comment about this on one of my videos? Because that's happened to me too. And this is a scam. I learned this is that people will call in and say, they're calling. Let's say you work at, State Farm Insurance, and they call in thinking they've dialed Verizon Wireless, and then they say, "Well, could you just transfer me to Verizon Wireless?" I think this is kind of what you're saying, and I think what they do is they seize that line, so they've got an open line coming out of your telephone system that they've captured digitally, and then they start routing calls through your system, and I don't know how it works, but in the old days they could seize up a trunk. They're called trunks, and then they've occupied one of your lines. Unless once you transfer it, the call drops off from your phone system. But don't ever do it, is what I'm saying. Don't ever transfer. You're not a switchboard operator. Say sorry. You're gonna have to hang up and call that company on your own time, because they could somehow occupy your digital system that transfers your calls and routes your calls. Don't ever transfer somebody to a number outside your building. Don't do it. Um, Yeah, yeah. Offer their number. Don't even offer their number. If they called somebody that's not related to your company, say, sorry, I don't have their number. I don't have access to that information. Just tell them we don't have access to the internet here, and they don't allow us to look up stuff. You're going to have to hang up and find the number on your own and dial it again. Don't. It's a scam. Or they're just incredibly lazy. Um, yeah, TRG, I'm so sorry you've taken this so um, deeply. I urge you to try to step back and just take a deep breath. I'm sure this wasn't personal. Uh, they, these are not the sharpest marbles in the box. Um, see what they come back with. If they give you any chance to come back, um, but try your best to take a deep breath. Takes a day or two to step back and just you know let it go. You've got to let it go because you might be the luckiest guy in the world to not work there. I wonder if there's any reviews of this place. Let's look up on Indeed. Let's see, Indeed. Virgin Money. Yeah, and you've got to wonder why a company would call themselves that, unless they're affiliated with Virgin Records. I don't know why it's a weird name for a bank. Um, I think they're headquartered out of London. Of course, I probably have to have a United Kingdom account, right? I have to have United, like Indeed.uk or something. I don't know if you have Indeed in UK. Oh, uk.indeed.com. So let's look. Virgin Money. Support technician for Virgin Money. Let's see what their reviews are. They have a 3.6 overall review. Work and well being. How enjoyable people find their daily life. Average. Satisfaction average. Purpose average. Stress free below average. Based on 114 responses to Indeed's work and well being survey. Let's look at the ones that are ranked a 1. You want me to sign up? Do you think? I tell you, why can't I just look at this? You have to consider yourself lucky, dude. I think this is just a good thing. You're not with them, and they're a crappy company. They're gonna treat you like that. Think about it. You don't want to be there. Why would you fight to be there? Yeah, I think you dodged a bullet. Just take for instance this company. I worked for a furniture store a few months, like 2 years ago. I got hired at a real expensive furniture store. They had a call center in a real wealthy part of Cleveland, and of course, I needed the job. My wife had just been laid off, and I took the job because she didn't have work and I hadn't worked in ages. And so the first day of training, they didn't have a training room. So we moved throughout the first training. We just moved from one conference room to the next because the conference room would be occupied by somebody else from like 1 to 2. So we had to move to a conference room on the other side of the room. So at the end of the day, he tells us where to put our stuff. He's like, okay, I'm gonna show you where to put your laptops and your training manual. And he said, but we don't have a call center. So we can't have you put it in the call center because there is no call center. And I'm like, there's no call center? And he said, no, we're going to have one in a couple weeks across the street. And across the street was an empty field. And then on the other side of the road were just some like a shopping mall, a strip mall. And I said, where's it going across the street? He goes, over there. And I'm like, I'm not coming back. and I put my laptop down where he told me to. I left because I knew that there was no call center. Who knows if they even have? I should call the toll free number now and see if they even have a call center. It was not worth it. Yeah, yeah, a crazy homebody girl just across the street. So, but yeah, I mean, it's great talking to everybody. It's snowy here. It was really cold and snowy for a few days, and it's kind of warming up. It's going to go up into the 40s. Woohoo! And I don't know if some of you are from the States, I think, but yeah, I used to be a Cleveland Browns fan, and the Cleveland Browns are so terrible. It's painful. We don't watch them anymore. We stopped watching them. They're so bad. And the owner is an idiot, and the front office is terrible. It's almost like they came into town just to destroy. Yeah, it's going to be like 48 here. I think it might be that warm right now because usually this room is freezing and I have a space heater on and I don't have it on today. And um, so I'm liking the weather. I'm really liking the weather here. Um, long spaces between calls, so they had long waits between calls. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to this winter. It's supposed to be a harsh winter, but I grew up in the snow. I love snow. I mean, my mom didn't like keep me in the yard in the snow, but I love playing in it. See, I'm smiling. So I just thought I'd come on tonight. Let me know if you have any ideas or comments or things you think would be good in the documentary. Send me a message. I've got a new email address, info@skatingbearstudios.com. If you have any ideas or comments, send everything there, and I will respond to those because that is dedicated solely to the documentary and to my channel. Skating Bear Studios at gmail.com is got just filled with junk, and some of your comments come in there, but some of it's spam, and I've just lost track. It's a rat's nest. That whole inbox is a rat's nest. So thanks everybody for watching. I'm going to sign off. I hope you're all doing great and you have a good rest of the week. And I bid you adieu. Have fun out there. All right. Bye.